because it's literally just like watching a taller version of myself. Then him and Paris, like I said, it's him and my wife. So I can't. It's absolutely.
I can relate to him because obviously I watched that documentary, and it was when I was getting a tattoo, and it's the bit where it's his kid's birthday, and he's in
and he had to do one.
He just gets off because he's overstimulated. But do you know what? That's really good. And like, I know people are like, oh, I don't know why he does it, blah blah blah. I get why he does it, and it's good that he does do that, because otherwise he's going to see his arse and he's going to start getting grumpy and he's going to start losing his shit. So
it's knowing when you need to take yourself.
He's understanding and knowing his triggers now. Yeah, and that's part and parcel of it. Same with you. Obviously, what you've just told me, like it's trying to understand it. It doesn't make it easier. It does in a sense, but you've got to like understand where it's come from now. Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, you're on your meds, which you said aren't really working, which I get as well to a degree. Yeah. Because for my mood and stuff, it doesn't do anything. But you've got to be self-aware, started to be self-aware. So I think the meds take the edge off.
I think the thing for me that I struggle with is knowing I need to go take a time out, but having a family, it makes me feel too selfish doing it. So then I went, no, I've got to do this. It's not fair on them. So it's putting yourself second. Where again, watching him, I think it's, and I said, it's not that my wife didn't believe the reason why I act a certain ways, I think, but seeing someone like that acting there's not a single difference in his actions or his language or anything like that that's different to me. So seeing that at his kids' christening, when it got a bit too rowdy, done one. When he came back from going on tour and he didn't want to speak to anyone, and I said to my wife, it's because he spent that whole time masking, and I went, it absolutely just drains every single thing out of you.
And look at him when he's not training. He doesn't really know what to do with himself. I mean, it's sort of like it's all right for a couple of weeks, and then because you miss that routine. And the thing with us with ADHD is we have to have a routine, but we really struggle to stick to a routine at the same time. Obviously, with him being in a routine and also with him training, he has to go on a run every day. And I can't stress enough to people how good exercise is for you. Like, and I'm not going to preach like I go into the gym all the time, because I don't. I really don't. I want to. I just don't have the executive dysfunction to be able to do it. Honestly, mate, exercise is like insane for ADHD.
Yeah, it is the best medicine. Yeah.
Even if it's just a walk like what we're doing now, but just getting out in nature and just getting them endorphins going in your brain, it's a massive help.
I think for me, it's finding an inspiration. I know most people should say it should be my family or whatever it is, but it's the weirdest thing. Like I said, I don't know if you've seen it. It came out the other day, Sky documentary, Han.
I haven't seen it yet. I've seen it being advertised.
And obviously he's similar, very real person, went through his struggles. But watching people like him and watching people like Fury, they say the words that will not come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
So it just breaks me. Like, I spent last night probably about an hour and a half just crying about it. Because he's sitting there saying himself that I'm sorry for the way that I acted then, but I was very, very poorly. And he's crying his eyes at him the same. He's got millions of pounds in the bank. There's not a single thing that he doesn't have access to.
It doesn't mean anything.
Exactly. And this is what I said to my wife, because she always says, you've got your family, you've got this, you've got that. And I say again about him, I say about Tyson, millions in the bank, everything he's trained towards in his life he then achieved, got a loving family, but he still wanted to die.
He's really lucky though, because he's obviously, and same with you as well, your wife's obviously very supportive of you. He's obviously got Paris who supports him, and that's a massive key, because she knows how he can be, your wife knows how you can be, but they still stand with you, and it's probably not easy for them at times. Like, I've put a lot of people through a lot of shit in my lifetime, but no one's ever really stood by me. You know what I mean? It's always been, I've been too much for people, so that's concreted in my head that I am too much for people. So that's why I'm on my own now, and I don't want it. Sort of scared of it now.
It puts the fear in you, it does, because you don't want to go through that again.
No.
Because you know in your own head that the things that may have pushed people away from you isn't really how you are, isn't how you want to act. So, and he says himself that he doesn't have control over his thoughts or his moods.
No. And obviously he's got bipolar, which I don't obviously know what bipolar is, and sort of. It can be very similar to borderline personality disorder, but you go through mania stage and you go through like depressive stage. I don't know which type he's got, like they're both a little bit different.
See, it's mad, the tiniest things affect me, but again, like you said, you watched it when he decided to go over to Iceland and surprise Thor and he wasn't there. The rejection there, or the disappointment, or whatever it was that bothered him, that's when he then said, I'm never going to train again, and it put him off everything, and again, it just sticks in your head for a while. Hey, mate.
Hello.
But it's, like I said, for me, I think because I watch these people like that, and obviously boxing is my life. I absolutely, any spare moment I've got, I'm watching boxing documentaries. There's the documentary of Fury when he came back, and again you see him trying to shed the weight, knowing he said, I've done it to myself, so I've got to get it off.
That's hyper focus to a T. That's like, I'm going to set myself a goal and I am going to achieve it. And we can set ourselves these goals which probably seem really out there to a lot of people, but to us they're achievable, and we do achieve it because we ain't stopping until we do, because we are perfectionists.
It's
that's the thing as well, is what is perfect. Like, I want to be this perfect person, but I've sort of come to the understanding recently where perfect it's not attainable at all. Like, no one's perfect.
But everyone has their own perception of perfection, don't they?
But when we actually get to perfect, we're going to want to be this other perfect person. So whenever you get there, so you've just got to try and understand the conditions and the disabilities you have, and just make a good situation out of a bad situation, if that makes sense. Like, we've got it, we ain't getting rid of it. There's things out there which can help, like your meds, and obviously I know you said your meds aren't really,
so they help me for a couple of hours. I know then that if I need to get something done, I'll be all right, but then I feel myself then dropping down, like I said, and side effects from it or whatever it may be.
So you're on Elvance, aren't you? So the thing with Elvance is you sort of go up and down a little bit. It goes through cycles. So I have dips. Like, my mouth goes really dry. I know you said you burn, but my mouth goes really dry now. And I took my meds, what time is it now? Probably 6 hours ago. So they're still in my system. Like, I start overthinking stuff, like, massively. But my head still goes, but I can dismiss stuff a lot easier. Do you find that?
Yeah, I find this, what would normally affect you doesn't seem as big of an issue for them few hours. One thing I find, and I assume it's probably a common thing, is it has to be impulsive. If I sit and I plan to do something in 3 days' time, when I'm planning it, I love the idea of it. The closer I get to it, the more terrified I am of doing it. And you come up with all these different reasons as to why am I doing that? Why would I want to do that? Like, I don't want to be going there. And you talk yourself out of it. Like I said, I'll apply for a job, and it's all of these things that are great.
I think that's a fear of failure. I
I
genuinely feel like that's a fear of failure, because obviously I work nights and days, obviously, but I'll come up with these fantastic ideas, like, right, I'm highly motivated, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, my head's going everywhere, I've done a meal plan, I've done a workout, I've done like set days, like push pull, whatever. It comes to the next day and I can't be asked. I'm just like, I can't be bothered doing that. So in that moment, we need to do it then, otherwise we probably won't do it. I started decorating my house. My house is half decorated. I've lost the buzz about it.
I did that. It took me about a year and a half to decorate the house. The wife was going ballistic.
But do you know what I have found? If you want to decorate your house, cut in first before you do your other thing. Because obviously once you've done the whole walls, you're like, I can't be arsed cutting in. Because you're tired and you're exhausted. Cut in first, because that's like the most fiddly bits. And you don't get so stressed, because I was fucking launching paintbrushes.
But I find music is a huge thing, because it takes, you don't then focus so much on what you're doing, because you focus on singing along or listening to it. But I think setting yourself smaller tasks, breaking it down is the key, but then it doesn't seem as overwhelming. Because if I sit there and say, okay, I need to do this, it's a Jesus Christ, if I'm going to do all of that. But if I'm like, okay, you break it down into little bits. Like, I don't know if you read the Will Smith book, when he had to build this massive wall.
I've never read a book. I've tried to read.
I'm not good at it.
I've started reading books. Like, I've started reading loads of books recently, but I'll never finish them.
The only books I can read are like biographies or autobiographies.
I've got the Tyson Fury one, but I haven't read that.
There's another one that someone wrote about him, about it's like coming back, but I've got the other 3, but the last one I got signed. So I don't dare open it. Like, I've opened it to look at the signature, but I haven't read it yet. But again, in the second one, he gives you loads of little like mini workouts to do and stuff like that. It is good. Like I said, it's mad, the amount of inspiration that I take from that guy. It just absolutely blows my mind. When I'm running, it's, for me, I think again, it's like finding the music that kind of gets you excited. But I started doing, which again would be, if people don't know about it, it's like endorsed or sponsored by NHS, the Couch to 5K app. You seen that or heard of it?
And you get medals for it as well.
So it's you do week 1, you're meant to do it every other day, and you'll run for like 60 seconds, then you'll have a break for 90 seconds, and you do that for works out about 25 minutes, I think, and then you do it 3 times the next week. It increases, and you get a lesser break, and you do that until it's meant to be 9 weeks, and you can do 5K. But there's like a guy on, you pick who you want, and he'll kind of talk you through it, give you sort of some little boosts and stuff like that, and say you're doing really well. You can have your music playing in the background. So for me, it's kind of like old school garage music. It just gets, like, I absolutely love it.
Yeah, it's like addictive songs, isn't it? You can't. No one can not like that music.
No.
You've got to like bop your head.
It's just upbeat, so I'll be like jogging along, and then I always said it's in my last one, and again it's because I take inspiration from him, the Freed from Desire. But obviously when they sing Furies on Fire, so I make sure that's my last one. And I was like seeing at Rocky,